All we lost.
This is The Righteous View with your hosts, Avia Byers, Deborah Hoskins, and Christina McCormick.
All right.
Oh, hello. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to The Righteous View. I am Avia Byers. Our weekly podcast will focus on topics regarding women of all ages. Our mission is to foster righteous, open dialogue on topics that have been taboo within our social communities. We want to cultivate open and healthy discussions between mothers and daughters, husbands and wives, mature women and young women. And our goal is to educate and provide factual information to these demographics concerning our biological, physiological, and spiritual existence. I would like to introduce my beautiful co-host tonight, the lovely Christina McCormick. And sitting in for Deborah Hoskins, we have the beautiful Patricia Douglas. We are so excited to have her on tonight.
Man.
So thank you, Toda, so much for coming on. She is a very good friend of ours and a believer in Messiah, and we just a true inspiration to the people of the Most High, and we are excited about her being on the show tonight
Yes.
as we
Yes.
discuss this important topic. So take it away, Patricia.
Thankful that I am here tonight with you all. Certainly, we want to encourage you all to tune in weekly, every Thursday evening at 6 p.m., right here for thought provoking topics like tonight.
Yeah.
It's a very thought provoking topic that will hopefully stimulate conversations that are sometimes hard or uncomfortable for us to talk about. We need to talk about this, y'all. We gotta bring it out. It's gotta be front in your face. We gotta deal with the topic. You sure you want to do this? You sure you want to get married?
We're
Are
gonna do
you
this.
sure you want?
Do this. We're gonna do this. Let's
Are
do
you
it.
sure you want to do that?
Yes,
So we,
yes.
we, we are encouraged and blessed on tonight just to know that Abba has brought us in a place of serenity, a place of love, and a place of understanding as far as who we are and our walk with Him.
That's
I'm
right.
learning that the more I fall in love with y'all, the more I love the man He gave me. So
Mm.
I'm grateful. I am truly, truly grateful. We got to learn, I don't want to get too far in. So I don't want to get too far because listen, this is a good topic tonight, ladies. I'm trying to tell you. But I'm gonna relinquish my stand right now and I'm gonna turn it over to Christina.
We're gonna put the range back on.
Uh-oh. We got somebody just as feisty as me. All
Oh,
right.
absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. We are live on Facebook,
Hallelujah.
and The Righteous View. And if you missed the podcast, you can view it and the past podcast on our YouTube channel at The Righteous View. If you enjoy the topics and the discussions have helped you in any way, please subscribe, like, and hit that notification button.
Yes,
Mhm.
do it. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Oh, a nice topic. So, you say you want to get married.
Wow.
So, my husband and I have been married in just in 2 weeks. It will be 46 years.
Woo.
Praise the Most High.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
We're going to try to get some sound effects on here that go,
All right, I gotta look for 'em. Look for 'em
we have
now.
a crowd cheering, and everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
I always get the same questions every time. And the first one always is, how did you know he was the one?
Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
second one was always, how do you stay married since the divorce rate is so high all around the world?
Mhm.
So being over here in Ghana, the divorce rate is just as high here
Wow.
as it is in the Western countries. I was surprised at that, but
Mm.
I mean, it just tells you that people are people all around the world. They're people. And in this discussion this evening, we're going to give you some tips and action items you should consider while thinking about marriage and
Mhm.
looking for a potential husband. So we are focusing on you, the women. Now, we've already talked about going through adolescence,
Mm.
starting your, menstrual cycle, moving into becoming a woman. We went through even dealing with special needs, our special needs daughters, and understanding that they go through the exact same thing physiologically as women do who are not on any kind of spectrum, or in
Mhm.
the spectrum. So we see the the changes in our bodies, and then we begin to move on into high school, into adulthood. So we dealt with even incest, molestation, rape, things that would happen to a young lady as she's beginning to, prosper and blossom in her womanhood. It's unfortunate that those statistics, like they're horrible in the United States, they are horrible here. We have
Wow.
big billboards going towards Accra saying that 1 out of 3 young ladies before the age of 18 in Ghana is forced marriage, is
Wow.
into marriage
Wow.
before
Wow.
she's even 18. So that means
Mm.
father will force her to marry someone so that the family can get a place of status within, because that's one thing about here. It's about status. It's about
Mhm.
who you know, the money that you have, the resources, and all that kind of stuff. So they'll force their young women to get married. So we went through all of that. Now we're looking at a woman who is maybe after high school. Now maybe she has completed college or getting ready to complete college. And now there's the thought, hey, so what am I really looking for in a man? So we're going to let Christina just take it away on the first subtopic.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm doing how do you know, right?
Mhm.
How do you know? You know what? And I wrote some points to keep me on task because I be getting hyped up. So I'm trying to be professional. I'm gonna try. All right,
Good job.
so yeah, I'm gonna try. And I'm giving practical steps. I know that we have people that are watching from the faith or from Christianity or not um any faith at all. You know, I know our demographics. So I'm gonna keep um these steps very practical because there are, as y'all know, I go off about people coming into faith no matter what it is, and just because they hold up the Bible or they know some scriptures or they say
Mm-mm.
this, that you just marry them. And that's happening a lot lately. Coming into the faith, just getting married really quickly because y'all both say y'all of faith, and they don't have the foundations of being a man first, let alone being a husband. Okay, so we have a lot of people that are in marriages now, that y'all probably shouldn't have got married, but you're
Mhm.
married now. So, but for the young ladies that's coming out or single or whatever age you are, first you gotta ask, because this is the question: do you want to get married? Because that's a simple question, but
Right, right.
when we coming into faith, and I'm dealing with religious people because we do have a religious spirit on us. Everybody around you get married, everybody's supposed to have babies, and so you think that, okay, well, everybody else doing it, so
I'm supposed
I
to.
need to do it, and
Mhm.
you really don't want to, but
That's
Mm-mm.
you're afraid that
that's
if
not a
you
reason to get
want to
married.
stay single, that you will be frowned upon, right? Because a lot of religious people push us being barefoot, pregnant in the kitchen, in the bedroom. That's what they push.
Mhm.
And so you kind of fall in line even though that's really not what you want. Okay.
Mhm.
And I guess that'll be another topic, a good topic, I guess, after this one to
Yeah.
tackle about women who want to be single. It's
Mhm.
okay. And I know that's woo. So, hey, it's some women that really thrive
Yes.
in being single. Okay.
Mhm.
We'll deal with that later. So, don't be pressured when you're not sure. Now, I have 5 children. They are adults, and I do ask them, so what are y'all doing? Y'all gonna get married? I am that mother. However, I check in with them because I want them to let me know where they are. Because if they are serious about getting married, like Matthew, he's starting to think about it. Then we need to have this type of discussion. I have one daughter who say she don't think she want to get married, or I think her thing is she don't want to have kids. She's like they too expensive. So that's another conversation, because she
Mhm.
really might not want to
Right.
have children. So we have to have these conversations, all
Right.
right? So ask yourself, are you personally ready on the inside? Because I'm gonna get to the other stuff. Number two, are you ready for someone to take up space in your life? Like they're gonna be there all day, every day, in your
All the
face,
time.
all the time. Are you ready for that? Because that's what I don't know what people are pushing. Mary, I try to tell you, you cannot escape all the introverts,
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
extreme introverts. They
Mhm.
in your space all the time, every
Mhm.
day. everywhere because you're supposed to be in, a covenant or relationship. So, I know marriage is changing out in the world,
Mhm.
but people who like, oh, Alvia, she said 46 years.
Ooh.
Okay, so I'm listening to people that have that stamina, and all of them talk differently from very religious people.
Mhm.
Like you get to hear the real talk, and you have to understand that that leads me to my next point. Can you examine yourself to see if you are ready not to be so selfish?
Right.
Right? Because I have one daughter who
Yeah.
nope, I like my life right now. I ain't ready to give it up. She like, I got things to
That's
do.
what our daughter said.
Things to do.
She said, I'm doing good.
Right? I don't know about that.
Oh my goodness.
I'm
I
doing
mean,
Oh
good.
my goodness.
seriously, because I want to know. I'm asking my daughter. She is 26. Okay, so she like, look, I tried. She had a negative experience when she really, tried to have a long. And plus, she young. She was like, I'm all right. I'm, and even with Matthew, who's 28, and he's looking. You know, he want to get married, but he really like his life, right? He in between.
Mhm.
Like, I'm thinking about it, but I like my life. And when you are single, and I'm using that word selfish because it's all about you. You are the main star. You are the main character. You get to do what you want, when you want, how you want. You're gonna make all of the decisions, and you don't have to share that with anyone. So are you ready to give that up? And we're talking to women, but the men, they have to ask that too. It's just not
Mhm.
somebody what to do. You are in a relationship. But for the women, because we are in 2025, women are very career orientated now. We traveling without permission. We going out of countries without permission, like we are owning our own businesses. And so you have to ask yourself, because there's a lot of marriages where I see now that this is another topic. I've seen where marriages, I don't know, seem to thrive when one person in one state and another person in another state. And
Mhm.
and they say, hey, it worked for me.
Works.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's different marriages. So,
That's true.
maybe, I don't know. I'm not one of them, but y'all know who I'm talking about. What's her name off of Abbott? She got everybody together and say, I am in my state doing my thing. He is in his state doing his thing. And when they come together, it's beautiful.
But let me tell you,
Mhm.
there, there's a woman here who has a restaurant. A very nice woman. They're both Ghanaian, but he lives in Florida and she's here. And so she'll travel
Hmm.
over to Florida and stay there for a couple months, 2, 3 months, and then she'll come back here with her business here with her daughter, their daughter, and kids, and then he'll come over here, and that's across the Atlantic Ocean,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they seem
Mhm.
to be doing really, really well, and it's like, yeah, that's how it's great.
That's what they say. It's true.
Wow.
I mean, I knew somebody younger, and they were 20 years when I was like in my early 20s and I'm sure they still married. And I just was like, wow.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's why it's so important that it's okay to look at other couples and say, I would love to model
Hmm.
after them,
Hmm.
you know,
Mhm.
and but sometimes that might not be your best
Right.
model.
Right.
That might not be your best model.
Right.
Mhm.
Because when you talk about someone sharing that space in in many aspects, when you think about it, especially if you spend like a lot of time, with your spouse. Like
Mhm.
me and my husband are both retired now, which we've never been retired before. So we really had to do some, you know, uh, you know, tweaking of some things to because this is we've moved into a different stage
Mhm.
our marriage where we were both out of the house working. We would come together and in the evenings we would and then that's when we would have our time to discuss if we were on vacation. We always did ministry together, that was done together. But now we have this new thing where we 24/7 we are in each other's faces all the time. So, it might be sometime, where he gets up and he gets up very early. He's still on the school teacher
Mhm.
clock. So he gets up very early. And child, I'm retired. I am full time retired. So sometimes I'll be like my mama who is 91. I'll be like getting up. It's like 12 o'clock. I'll say, I don't even get out of bed. I just turn up and say, "Hey Siri, what time is it?" And she'll say, "It is 11:25. It is 1:15 p.m." I'm like, "Okay, I need enough sleeping. You need to." So I'm
Yeah.
real retired. I'm on the retired track period. I'm in there full
Mm-hmm.
time, full
Mm-hmm.
fledged, all in. I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
all in. But up very early. And so that's his time. He comes on downstairs, makes his breakfast, sits
Mhm.
down, and goes through his messages and stuff. And if he have to contact anybody, he'll watch, the news or whatever and everything. And he just, goes right on out the room and very quietly. And that's another different thing about us. I am just loud. When I get up, I'm just loud. I'm up because everything. I feel so bad, but it's because throughout our whole marriage, with his job, him always having to leave so much earlier than me, it didn't matter how
Yeah.
loud I was in our room because I was the only one in there.
Yeah.
I'm turning on praise and worship music on YouTube and it's blasting, and it's like so you have to get used to if he's still in the bed, which that probably won't happen. But if he happens to be, then I have to try my best to try to be a little quiet. So that sharing of space is very
Mm-hmm.
important. And if you are at a place where you don't know if you want to share your stuff and your space, then you might not
Mm-hmm.
be ready yet to get married.
Mm-hmm.
You might. It's okay
Yeah.
to wait. There's nothing wrong with waiting until, okay, I think I'm kind of settled down. I
That's
think I
right.
could,
Mm-hmm.
I think I could get, but to thine own self be
Mhm.
Right.
true. I think
It
that's
is.
crucial in this talk that people, oh, everybody get married. Let me find
Mm-hmm.
somebody. You might not
Mm-mm.
be ready.
Can't do everything somebody else is doing anyway. No, 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 no.
Oh,
And when you think about sharing your life with someone, just like Christina said, you gotta know from point A to point B whether this is really what you want to do. Like if you're
that's right.
comfortable living the way you're living and doing what you are doing, you are absolutely comfortable. You may be dating someone and you may be interested in sharing a life with this person. But hey, why do I need to jump into getting married when right now I'm okay? We're good.
Yep.
But if we're not good and I'm not ready to get married, I'm not going to be forced into a life that I know I'm not comfortable with.
That's right.
And like she said,
Right.
earlier, Christina said, people are being, it's like, you, it's like it's the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a norm now
Yes.
where, well, everybody
Yes.
in the circle has gotten married and we're the only two left and I don't know what to do. So I guess it's time for me. You listen to your boys saying, don't ask her to marry. You listen to your girlfriends and she's saying, well, y'all need to go ahead and get married and, start your life together. All of us are married. Y'all are the only two that's single, you know. So you get into that peer
Yeah.
pressure. You get into that peer pressure part of it, and you're like, well, okay, I do care about this person. I do love this person. Maybe I do need to go ahead and get married. That's not a reason to get married. That is absolutely
Oh,
not a reason. If there was a reason not to get married, that would be number one. Don't do it because
that's it.
somebody told you to do it, or you're being coerced into getting married. Marriage is very, very
Right.
special. It is a bond between two people that absolutely loves each other and want the best out of each other.
That's
You
right.
know,
That's right.
when I met my
Yeah.
husband, I was in a place where I had just come out of a bad marriage. So I really didn't want to be bothered right now. I was telling people it's me, God, and my baby. I ain't studying about no marriage, no man. I ain't studying about it. It's gonna be me, God, and my child. So my friends kept asking me every Sunday we go to church. Trish, you want to meet him yet? You want to? No, I don't want to meet anybody right now. I just want to stay. My prayer life it was phenomenal. I could come home, get
Mm-hmm.
off work, come home, and I could get in my prayer time. I would be in prayer for hours upon hours. I would get off work in the morning at 7 o'clock, and I would get to the church by 8 o'clock because I would have to change clothes because I worked at a pharmaceutical company, and we would have to change out of our uniforms and stuff. We couldn't walk outside with the uniforms. So by the time I did all that, I would get to the church, go straight to the church from work. Don't work all night, but I was always led to go to the church and pray. So I would pray sometimes to 11 or 12 o'clock. I would be in prayer, talking to the Most High. I mean, it was phenomenal. And I loved my life like that. So I was like, no, I'm good right now. So they kept asking, kept asking, kept asking. So I was like, okay, I'm going to meet this man because y'all are getting on my nerves. I'm just going to meet him. So, so he comes to my home. I had prepared dinner for all four of us to eat because it was a husband and wife who were my friends who kept begging me to meet him. Um, Anthony happened to be my friend's best friend, the guy who kept saying, you need to meet him, you need to meet him. So when we did meet, he comes
Uh-huh.
to my home and he just getting off work and he comes to my house with a dirty t-shirt on and dirty pants. Just got off work. I thought to myself, for real, dude, you gonna come to my house like this? I was like, well, you'll see that I'm a working man. That's what you saw. I was a working man.
Mm-hmm.
So we
That does
sat down, had dinner. And he said, I told God that if this woman cooks my favorite meal, I know this will be my clue that she is my wife. This is my confirmation that this woman is my wife. Because he said he had been praying and he was telling the Most High, I want a woman that you have prepared for me. You know how I am. You know what kind of person I am, God. So I want a woman that is compatible to me. So we talked and talked and talked that night that he came for dinner. As soon as it got the sun was going down, I said, "Okay, sir, you got to go now. You can't be in my house after dark. You got to go." And so I when he got home, he called me. We was on the phone all night. And so he would come to my house every day after work for 3 days. That third day, we were in the kitchen and I was washing dishes after I had prepared dinner. And he said, you know, you my wife, right? I was like, this nigga crazy. 3 days. I said, this nigga crazy. I just met him. He talking about I'm his wife. 3 days. No, this nigga crazy.
hey.
He crazy. He done lost his mind. I ain't think about no marriage. No, he got the wrong one. So So we kept talking and talking. And I was like, yeah, okay. And he was like, so when he got ready to leave that night, he said, can I get a kiss on the jaw? I said, no, you get a handshake. So, because I was like, I had already said, yeah, I'm not getting ready to get myself involved in situations anymore because my downfall was I needed a man to compliment me. I needed a man to tell me that I was beautiful, I was pretty, I was this, I was that. But when I had gotten to that point in my prayer life where I was like, I don't need none of that. And I realized I didn't need any of that. So every day he would compliment, oh, I love your hair. You look very pretty today. I was like, praise God. Like, he said, is that gonna be your response every time? I said, yeah, praise God. Praise God. Hallelujah. I would
Wow.
never say, oh, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. No, that was never in. No, no, no. I would say, praise God. Oh, praise God. Hallelujah. That's all I would say. And it got on his last nerve. But needless to say, 1 year later, after dating for a year, we absolutely got married. So
Wow.
Wow.
I'm telling y'all, I just I just didn't want to do it anymore. My mind was made up that I did not want to be married. I just wanted to just be married to God at the time, and I just wanted to live my life that way because I was tired of going through nonsense and stupid stuff, being cheated on, all of this. I was just sick of it. I was just done with the whole marriage thing. But, I always knew in my heart that I was somebody's wife. And he kept sharing that with me in prayer. You're somebody's wife. You're somebody's wife, you know. But I wasn't looking for a husband. He found me.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to make sure that when Abba is sending you or telling you to do certain things, if we are
Mhm.
preparing ourselves for a mate, we got to first prepare our own hearts and our own minds
That's right.
for a relationship with Abba Yah first. That needs to be the very first
Yes.
relationship that you have, so that you won't
Right.
fall into you know into the mindset of you need this, you need this, you need this.
Yeah.
Abba
Right.
required marriage for a reason. Not for us to be, shacking, doing all this crazy stuff that we were doing, but he requires marriage
Right.
for a reason. So we have to be in, the right
Absolutely.
mindset to prepare ourselves for a husband. We gotta be. We gotta be.
Yes. Yes. That's good.
I'm sorry I went on that rant, but I had to tell that story.
That was good. And I was gonna say, when you're learning to be with that person, like my
Yeah.
father, I never forget when I first got married. I maybe had been a month or so, and my father said, "Well, how's it going? How you like the married life?" I said, "Oh, it's good," because he gone for 3 weeks out the month because he was a truck driver. My father fell out laughing, and I was like, "What's so funny?" I said, until it dawned on me later on why my father laughed. I completely was oblivious as to why he laughed. I was like, "Oh, it's great. He's gone 3 weeks out of the month."
And you're home. So I mean,
And because, like you say, you used to living by yourself,
Mhm.
and for those first 4 years, my husband was gone a lot. And so year
mhm.
5, when we were losing the business, he was at home a lot. That's when I really had to learn how to live with
Mhm.
somebody every day. There's stages to this, and you have
Yes.
to be ready. And I was ready because my testimony. I was a mother, and
Mhm.
I fell into that trap. Like I don't need no man, but the Most High, I know when He finally got. How you say you need a father for these children,
Mhm.
and so like you said, once I reestablished my relationship with the Most High, He began to work on me. And like you all said, I didn't like my husband when I first
Mhm.
met him. They set me up on the date. I was done. I really
Yeah.
was. So the bottom line is working on you and knowing your values. That's my next point because a lot of people, they they romanticize the marriage, and I don't know what we're doing. I know what I wasn't doing. I wasn't sitting down asking questions about how we gonna raise children. You know,
Right.
what's your spiritual background? Like you just going along. It's like you just surviving because you just feel like you need to be in a relationship, but you're not talking about anything. Your conversations are empty. Usually
Yeah.
it's is he cheating on me and he not even your husband. It's
Mhm.
just where the women's mind are. But when you ask,
Right.
did you sit down and articulate your values to them? Do you know
Yeah.
your values? Do you know what is a deal breaker? For example, some women, a deal breaker is, and I hate to say this, but it comes up in marriage, infidelity. Some women it's don't,
Mhm.
and some women
Right.
like,
It's
depending on the situation, I can forgive. Right?
situation.
Yeah.
You need to know
Yeah.
what are your deal breakers
Mhm.
Correct.
in a
Correct.
marriage. Like, what is the deal breaker
Mhm.
that will make you be like, no, I am not marrying you. I will not be in a relationship with you. But
Mhm.
again, as a young woman, those conversations didn't come up, and then we wondering why they didn't work out. Because if you had these conversations during the dating, the dating phase,
Right.
you
Right.
know who to weed out. And I tell my children, date because you got to learn what type of
Yes,
person you like.
we
Person.
do.
Personalities,
Right.
you got
Right.
to know. Some people have a type of look they
Right.
like, whatever. You got
That's
to know
true.
you. You got to be
That's
honest
true.
with you, and
Absolutely.
That's
that's
true.
something that women um need to really hone in. Another one: are you emotionally available? And this goes
Ooh.
our mental health, because some of us are not, and we
Mhm.
have all type of trauma personalities that keep us from being emotionally available, and then we'll hide behind
Mhm.
terms like, well, I'm an extreme introvert. Okay, I talk about this. We are a tribal people, and I
Mhm.
do understand about being an introvert, extrovert, living over here in America. I really think that is a defense mechanism against what we
Mhm.
have been through. But being extreme anything is mentally, unstable. Whether you're an extreme extrovert or extreme introvert, you have to be emotionally available, because if you extreme extrovert, you want everybody's attention. You don't know what
Mhm.
you don't know how to sit with yourself and love on yourself, because you need attention everywhere you go. Or you have the extreme introvert who don't
Wow.
want to talk to nobody. I
Mhm.
won't be around nobody. I'll talk to you for a few minutes, and then I have to have my solitude for the next 23 hours.
Wow.
Okay, you're not
Mhm.
emotionally available, and these are mental health issues. Trauma, we have several types of trauma personalities that I get into with our mental wellness group, because those
Mhm.
trauma personalities, you need to know your personality, and then the person who you're dating, y'all need
Mhm.
to, after you move from dating and you go into courtship, like you're going to be married, that's when these serious
Mhm.
talks should come up. I'm not telling
Mhm.
any woman, I
Right.
do not think it's wise for any woman to share their extreme traumas with a man in the dating phase. Because
Mhm.
I used to do
Mhm.
Right.
that stupid stuff that you don't even know if you're compatible, and you bleed all over everybody. So
Mhm.
you
Right.
you have to
Believe.
learn, and that's something that is a lost art. Dating, courtship, engagement, marriage. So we just think
Absolutely.
dating is just, no, that dating is finding out who you like, what you like, where to go.
Just
Yeah, that's
hang
Mhm.
all
out.
it is. But that's all they want now,
Yeah.
That's all they want now. But we have a courting phase that says both of you want marriage. So we're gonna see if we, can lead up to marriage. And
You
then
got
it's a certain
each
time
other.
frame too. But I know everybody different, but
Right.
I guess when you get older, I'm like, you 50 and you waited 10 years to get, 15 years and you 50, so now you 65 and y'all just getting me, after a certain age, a certain maturity, you know.
Yeah.
When
You
you
Yeah.
should know.
young, You
You
should.
should.
We know.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah, you should.
We know. There's some older women. We've been talking about that.
Yeah.
They need help.
They ain't right to fight.
Screaming
Yeah,
out help.
they making some
Help.
immature. That's mental
Right.
health. You know, not being healed and going into these relationships that you can't even teach the young sisters. We got to pray about that.
Right.
That's a
Um,
mouthful.
yeah, fears. Your fears, your goals, feelings overall? Do you know how to give space? So these are women. women.
Uh-huh.
We know how to give men space because we
Mhm.
are naturally emotional creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, we
to
love
learn
to
it.
talk. You know, we love to get our feelings out and express ourselves.
Got to
But,
Mm-hmm.
but a man, like my husband told me, is something I had to learn because I'm emotional and I want to talk and I want to know how you feel and tell me how you feel. And he's like, first of all, I need to process what you said. And my husband
Right.
would tell me in a minute.
Right.
And I used to get so
Right.
angry. I was like, my mouth is sharp too. And the Most High had tamed my tongue. I was like, is you slow? Did you not hear what I said? Why do it take you 24 hours to process what I said?
Oh my goodness.
But to him, he didn't want to
Yeah.
speak
Right.
quick. He wanted to sit on it,
Mm-hmm.
think
Mhm.
about it.
And that's it. And that was my husband too. And I was so crazy when I was young. I would be running behind him. Like,
Right.
talk to me. Tell me what you do. I'm running behind him. He's trying
Oh my goodness.
like, just let me go. Just let me. No, that's what you're doing. You're running away. And the man is just trying to get. He's trying to think about it. He's trying to
Oh goodness.
absorb.
Oh my goodness.
Woo.
So I had to learn that, and try to, keep and I'm still working on that, trying to keep the
Yeah.
volume to a level where you are, can have that discussion, those hard discussions or hard topics, and keep them to where you can both, just maneuver and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
navigate it through. Oh, my husband was. Just let me. I'm leaving because I need to be able to think, and I'm just.
Mm.
But see, and we got married. See, that's the thing. We got married very young, so he was 18, and I was like, what, 20. So we were young. Now he was much more mature than I was because I came right out my mom and daddy's house, worked a job, but didn't really have like a whole lot of bills and stuff to pay. I would just be like, okay, what do y'all need? Well, we need the whole paycheck. Okay, just let me buy these pair of shoes and I'll give you the rest of the paycheck. So that's kind of thing. But so even understanding how to budget and stuff like that. He lived on his own from the time he was like 14, 15 years old. So he knew what needed to happen, budgeting and, taking care of rent or taking care of, shopping for food, taking care of this, that, and whatever. So all of those things, that is sometimes I think, and when our personalities are so different, because he's an introvert, I'm the extrovert. So when those those clashes come because you are so different and you think so differently. But you kind of have to learn how to maneuver and navigate those waters, because even though we are very different in our thought processes, that's good in a lot of ways, because some things I don't think about, he'll think about, or some things he doesn't think about, then I will say, well, what about this? Cause we think so differently. So he told one of the young ladies here in the ministry. She said, yes, Rebbe, they call him Rebbe. He said, if he says yes, you will say no. That's just the way it is. That's what he said. I say, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wow.
You have to just discuss and midrash things through, but and those are the waters that you have to think about, and thinking about marriage, and thinking about, first of all, you gotta have a person. People think, well, I have to have a person that I'm thinking about to think about if I'm ready for marriage, but not really. You should be able to stop and sit with yourself and do that checklist. I like checklists. And say, okay, so marriage means I have to share my apartment with somebody. I don't know like that. Marriage means if I go, get my favorite hot dog, I'm gonna have to get two because he's gonna want one too. Marriage means I might have to come home and cook. Okay, when I don't really care, I'll eat a bag of popcorn and drink some water. So those things you have to. Am I ready? And I think people get so caught up with thinking I don't have a partner to think about, but the thought should be, am I ready? Not do I have a partner do I have someone to marry, but am I ready? And I think that all of those points are so important, because I don't think we generally stop and think about that. Am I?
Nope. You hit the last point I had with conflict. That's just something that we women, I know that's a big one for us. Learning how to let the men process. They need time to sit and think, and we think, like you said, running away. You ignoring me. I would say that you're ignoring my feelings. And he's like, I'm trying to process. He would come back, or sometimes he would be like, well, I don't know what to say yet. And I had to learn, by studying, mental health and how men think really logical and women intuitive. And I was like, okay, so if he ain't got nothing logical to say, then he not gonna say it yet until he can find the logic behind what I'm saying.
Right.
Correct. Truly, that book, what is it, Men from Mars, Women from Venus, or something like that? That's for real, because we just don't think alike. We don't think alike. That's just the same way that, we were on the topic of rape and molestation, how they had to set standards in the U.S. for rape and consider what is rape. So they included coercion, and they included that if a person is in an authoritative position over you, that will push the person over the edge to saying, okay, well, all right. Because why? You're my boss. You are someone who can affect
Mm-hmm.
my life
Mm-hmm.
for real. So they added coercion into that rape, that whole uh, uh, rape situation legally, because there is so much that goes behind that. So and that's how a man can say, look at a woman and she says no, and he say, oh, I know she want me. There's a
Mm-hmm.
different thought, because you
Mm-hmm.
looked at me. Some
Mm-hmm.
think because you look
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
at them, you look, or she
Right.
smiled. And I had to learn. I mean, when we moved to New York, I had to learn. And I remember men walking up to me and saying, smile. It can't be that bad. I don't smile
Mhm.
at men. And I would say that to him. I don't smile at men. I have a husband at home that I can
Mm-hmm.
smile. He just smile at you. Because if you smile, then it's
Yeah.
like all of a sudden, oh yeah, you
Mhm.
Yeah.
want me. The thoughts, a woman just thinks, oh, she's really nice. But a man
Mm-hmm.
thinks, ooh, she want
Mm-hmm.
me. She
Mhm.
just smiled. So that the communication
Yeah.
Yeah.
part of it is, you have to learn. That's one thing that me and my husband had to learn, to how to communicate with each other,
Mhm.
because we are so different.
Yeah.
It's just a different way
Yep.
of communicating. I will say, we had a discussion, but he'll say, we had an argument. I'm like, that wasn't an argument. That we were discussing. We were
Mm-hmm.
talking. Well, I felt like it was an argument. But see, there you go. The difference
Mhm.
is.
Yeah. Well, that was it. That was it for me.
Okay, Patricia, you're up next.
I was sitting here processing
Woo!
everything that she was saying, and I was like, "Wow!" I kind of identified with a few of those topics that you talked about, but but I kind of touched a little bit earlier on when I came into my introduction. What should I look for in a husband? What
Mhm.
should I look for in a husband? Wow. Let me see. So, one thing that when I saw this question, I thought about, as I said before, my life before my husband, it was great. I had a wonderful life. Like I said, my prayer time was wonderful. I could go in and pray. I didn't have to worry about, stopping my prayer to go in here and take care of, cooking, making sure the house was clean, the clothes were washed, taking care of a husband, another person besides my daughter. So, for me, when I was single, like I said, I wasn't looking
Mhm.
for a husband. I was content being the way that I was. But if I had to encourage
Uh-huh.
someone who wants to be married, I would tell them to just keep living holy. Keep living the way that the Most High has instructed you to live, so that you can see, what kind of person you are and what kind of person you would be
Mhm.
if he sent you a mate, if he sent you a
Uh,
husband. So
mhm.
I think a lot of times, like I said before, we can't be rushed into situations because, I remember this one young lady I was ministering to, and she said, "Well, the Bible says that you need to marry instead of burning."
Yeah. They say that a lot.
Said, baby, listen, don't let that be an excuse for you to get married, because you might not like the man. He might, he might.
Thank you.
And then, I'm like, you may not like this man. You may not like his ways, his shortcomings, because you got to love all of that, or you got to learn to deal with it. You got to learn to live with it. So
Mhm.
when you when you said, "Oh, well, I mean, I don't want to burn," I say, but you don't need to allow your flesh to lead you to marriage.
Yeah.
Don't allow
Right.
your flesh to lead you to marriage because you need to
Right.
be led by the Most High to be married to someone, to the
Correct.
right person.
Correct.
I have been in counseling sessions with men and women that have said, you know what, I should have listened to my mama when she told me that that man wasn't right for me. I should have listened to my friend when she told me that he came on to them the night before we got married. I'm saying, really?
Wow.
So and then there's some of us, especially the young ladies who feel like, well, I'm young. I want to start a family. I want to have a family. I want something to call my own. So you marry somebody because you want a family.
Want a
You
family.
cannot marry for those reasons. You have to marry because it was ordained of the Most High for you to get married. There's a whole lot of
Right.
them that
Right.
get in these
Right.
situations and they be like, well, like I said before, well, my friend got married and she done been in bad relationships, but the father done sent her somebody. I said, well, that's good. That works for your friend. Like
Right.
I think it was my sister-in-law, one day she was like, well, I want to stay home like Trisha do. Trisha don't have to work. Anthony okay with that. Well, Trisha can't work because Trisha's disabled. So Trish can't work. And it ain't because I want to be here and not work. It's because I can't work. So my
Right.
husband is fine with that. Father has already prepared him for the fact that your wife can't work. She's
Right.
gonna be home taking care of whatever she gotta take care of. You
Right.
know, my husband don't make me feel like I'm a housewife.
Mhm.
Right.
He
Right.
he he makes me feel like I'm his partner.
Yeah.
Partner.
We're equal.
Very
We
good.
don't even though he gets the final say,
Right.
but he still makes me feel like I'm an equal.
Yeah.
Right.
So, what dynamic works in somebody else's house, it ain't gonna work in your house. Like
Right.
you said, it may be good to look at other people's marriages and be like, wow, they have a very strong marriage. They look very happy together, all of that stuff. But sometimes when you are looking at that person's life, that may be a camera view for you.
Come
You know
on.
what I'm saying? Like they say, let's snap this picture. Everybody smile, but they really can't stand each other. So
Yeah.
let's
Right.
snap the picture. Everybody smiling in the picture, but they can't stand each other. The
Uh-huh.
husband and the wife don't like each other. They want a divorce, but because they have children, they got to stay there. No, you
Gotta say,
don't. No, you
right.
don't.
Who wants that?
No, you don't. No, it's a lot of marriages like that though.
Yes.
And then,
Right.
we have these brothers, these camp brothers that make women feel like they're nothing. The only thing you're good for is, making sure my needs are met, making sure my food is cooked and my house is clean.
Yep.
You know.
Please.
And then
Please.
here you go again, you know, you don't want a man who is looking at another woman saying, I want another wife. You don't want a man like that.
Well, yeah, we gonna have that's gonna be a topic too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, I won't go into that one then. I'm just
Okay.
saying.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you need to know. You
back
need
on that one.
Yeah.
you need to have a sit down conversation and be like, okay, what do you like? You can start the conversation out with something small, like what are your favorite food? What do you like to eat?
Yeah.
What is your favorite color? Do you like vacationing? Do you like going on spontaneous trips? Do
Mhm.
you like, you like going to the movies? Do you like sitting at home, cuddling, watching movies or watching TV, or are you an outdoor person? I'm an indoor person, but it's like you need to know all of these dynamics so that you will know how to, interact with this individual who you're saying that wants to marry you.
Yep.
I can tell you, will you marry me? And you in front of all these people, and you like, man, I ain't ready for marriage. How
Right.
you gonna put me on the spot like this? So you say yes. Yeah, I want to oh yeah, I'll marry you. And then you got to fake it through the whole thing. And then later on, you got to say, oh, you know what? I
That's
shouldn't have said yes. We really need to reconsider this.
Yep.
yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's like, you know, what kind of man are you really looking for? What kind of husband do you want? What kind of father do you want for your children?
Yes.
You need to know stuff about this individual before you make a decision that you want to engage with them. You want to have a relationship with them. You want to have a live life with them. You need to know these things because, like I said, there will be shortcomings. There will be issues about that person that you don't like. I mean, it's been almost 30 years for me and my husband, and I still go in the bathroom and the seat is up. It gets on my nerves. For real, sir? Can you please let me see that?
Real.
They can't.
I'm sorry, I'm raw. I'm sorry, I'm just raw like that. But I'm
Down.
just saying.
No, but you know what? That's funny. I thank Father Yah that my husband doesn't leave the seat up. He doesn't.
Really?
He's really good. He
Wow.
is
I'm
very.
like, for real, sir? Come on now.
You how I reamed him out the time that he left it up when we were married younger. And I was in that bathroom in the middle of the night to go
Yep. Yes.
into
Right. Yep. Yep. That's happened to me a few times. That's
I was
happened to me a few times. I had to get up and take a shower. Like, for real, I'm half asleep and I'm falling in the tub. Now I got to take a shower.
Woo.
So,
well, I'm looking
it
over here.
seems,
I'm looking over here at Lady Diamond, Lady Diamond's comment.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, single.
see, you gotta know. You gotta know if that's what you want. You gotta know. You
Yeah.
can't be forced into these situations. You just have to know. And then, like I said, we all have shortcomings. But is that person gonna be able to deal with my shortcomings? Will they be able to sit across the table from me and watch me and the way that I eat or the way I swallow or the way that I drink a drink?
If my pinky finger is up when I
Do you
brush my teeth or my
I mean, am I gonna be able to live with this? Like, for real?
That's true.
I mean, it's the small stuff that you think about.
Yeah, your
And
thing.
I
will drive you crazy. And that's what I tell people. If there's something you don't like about him when you're
yeah,
dating,
yes,
it's going to be to the
Yes.
1,000,000th power
yeah,
within
yeah,
a year of
yes,
your
Yeah.
first year
yes,
of marriage. It's going to drive you
Yep.
insane.
yes, yes. And if you're an easygoing
You have to
person, you don't want people that's gonna be, you know, always on an uproar. Like,
Yep.
why does this
right.
have to be like this all the time? Like, every time we get into a conversation or be around other friends and stuff, you bring up stuff that only you and I need to discuss. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's just a whole lot of stuff that we have to really consider and ask ourselves, will I be able to live with this? Will I be able to deal with this? Um, will Abba be able to help me, to not look at this as an issue, but help me to move past it because I got my own issues too. You know what I'm saying? So
Right. Right.
it is a lot. It is a lot. That's why we as women, we don't need to look for a husband.
Right.
We need to allow y'all to send us the mate that he has for us. I done been there
Yes.
and done that. Oh, he's reading the Bible. Oh, praise the Father. I'm gonna go over here and talk to him. Ask him what he reading. What you reading, brother? Brother, what you reading? Yeah, I made that
Third
mistake. I
Corinthians.
made that mistake. Yeah,
Third
yeah.
Corinthians.
I'm reading a I'm reading a book of Not Your Business. Going back over there where but we have to be careful just because, like you said, Christina, in the beginning, just because I see you with a Bible in your hand, that don't mean that you
Right.
love the Father.
Right.
It could mean that is something that's gonna draw me. Because guess what? House of Time gonna send you some fake ones. He
Yes.
gonna send you,
Oh,
especially when you want marriage so bad.
Bad.
He gonna send you some
so
fake, some phony people, and they gonna have you so crossed up and messed up. Yeah, I done been there, done that. Got the T-shirt. Wasn't married, but a good year, and wasn't with him that whole year. Like, I got to get away from this man. He crazy. Didn't know he was a crackhead on crack. I got a small daughter. I can't allow you to be around us. Ain't no telling what you would do or who you would send to our home.
Yeah.
So I got to get away from this man. Like, for real? No, we can't do that. So you got to know. You gotta know, you don't need no man beating you up, slapping you upside your head, all of that stuff. Oh, baby, I'm sorry. It'll never happen again. If he hit you one time, he gonna hit you again.
That's right.
So you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful and not allow yourself to fall into these traps because everybody else getting married or everybody else is married. Now it's time for you to get married. And they looking at you with a magnifying glass, like, when you gonna do this?
Right.
When is your time?
Oh,
So you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful and wait for the Father to send you a mate. Please wait. Because
That's
you do
right.
not, especially
You
when
know-
you got children and you don't want your children to be in the midst of something that's chaotic or something that's dangerous or anything like or in harm's way. That's why you need to wait for y'all to send you a mate. Because if y'all sends him, he's preparing you and he already got that man ready for you when he gets to you. And he gonna treat you like the queen that you deserve to be treated.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Looking at this topic, I remember when me and my husband, before we met, and I was dating this gentleman who was very abusive verbally, extremely abusive, verbally abusive, and did raise his hand or attempt say that he was going to hit me. My two younger brothers were there in the apartment in the house with me when he said he was going to do that, and they came down the stairs and I said, "Look, bro, we like you, but if you hit her, we gonna have to all jump you."
That's right.
Right.
All of us would have jumped him because I'm not going to stand there. You can forget that. I'm boy, 5 brothers, and you really think I'm gonna stand there and just let you not? So then they came downstairs and said, "Yeah, we're going to have to." And one of my brothers went and got. We always kept a bat. And one of my brothers went and got the bat, and they said, "We like you," because he was actually the youth pastor of the church that my father was the pastor. So he was getting ready to go to church with some black and blue, some big black and blue eyes, no teeth.
I know that's right.
Collarbone. He was gonna be toe up because it was gonna be all 3 of us on him.
I know that's right.
He wouldn't have hit nobody else. I can guarantee that. And that man thought about that. That young man stood there and he looked at them and looked at me and left. And I said, that was the best. That was your right answer. That was the right answer. And so after that, I went through a period of just, it's like, I'm not gonna see, I'm just not gonna talk to anybody else. And I remember laying out before the Most High and crying out to him. And I remember I'm one of those people where I do checklists. So like Christina will tell you, when her and Moray came over to Ghana, I had a whole itinerary.
She showed me.
And we will do this, and then this, and at 1 o'clock we'll do this, and at 2 o'clock we'll do this. Oh, itinerary! I just deleted that itinerary, and then I thought, I shouldn't have deleted that. We might need it for someone else who goes.
Yeah,
don't need an itinerary. Just
wow.
People, I like to check the boxes. I like to check. And so I remember giving the Most High a checklist. And I want this, and I want him to be that. And I remember at the top of the list, I said, Father, I want him to love you more than me.
Yeah.
Because if he loves you more than he loves me, then he won't offend me.
Wow.
respect me, then he won't abuse me like that one. He won't.
Wow.
So, and I'm telling you, when I met my husband, I checked he checked every box was checked.
Wow.
And so it's so important what you said, Patricia, about going to the Most High and making the scripture says, make your request known to him.
Yes.
That's
so
what it says.
We'll say that we're believers.
Mm-hmm.
So whether if you're watching a show, whether you are at Hebrew or in the Christian belief, whatever you are, if you believe that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is your father, and that he is watching over you, and that he has your life in his hands, then why would you not go to the Father to say, Father, this is what I would like to have.
Wow.
This is what I'm looking for. This is what I like for him to. This is what I and watch him bring that person.
Right.
And you stop looking.
Yep.
And I just really agree with that. Work. Get into your work in the ministry. If you are in ministry, put your mind on what you need to be doing. You may even need to, and we're going to get into that stuff, you might need to deal with your finances. Maybe you want to deal with, look, I'm talking about trying to think about a man, and my house look like it's tore up from the floor.
Right.
I'm gonna start keeping my my house clean.
Right.
I'm going to start working on my finances and building financial security. Maybe I want to look at purchasing a home. I don't need a man to be able to purchase a home if I have that goal, if that's one of my goals, or if I college, if I want to get another degree, or if I begin to work on you.
Right. That's it.
And then and you've already given Father that list. Allow him to build that man, to set that man aside for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it will, and I had an aunt. She is passed on. I love Aunt Melvina, was just like special, so special to me. She was my mother's sister, older sister, and Aunt Melvina was never married. And I asked her, she said, look, I said, didn't you want children? She said, Pete, I got all of y'all. My sister went and her husband, and they had 10 kids. So I got all of y'all I can love on. And she said, and I asked her one time after I got older, why did you never marry? And she said, I very, very literal person. She said, I never found anybody who I wanted to share my stuff with.
Ooh. Okay, Aunt Alvina, go ahead now. That's the real stuff.
With a straight face, she said, I didn't meet every man I met, didn't have what I had.
Yeah.
And I felt like I'm the woman, you should have more than what I have.
Right.
Yeah.
Coming into the picture, if you are going to be the man of the house, but I don't need you coming being man up over my stuff. And
that's real stuff right there. That's the real stuff right there.
It was real. Yeah.
Man over that. I'm already authority over that.
Oh my goodness.
So she said, I just didn't meet a man that I wanted to share my stuff with. And the men that I was meeting, they didn't have vision. They were not focused. Financially, they were not good. Nobody bringing me down into poverty. So I didn't meet anybody, and I was good with it. And she passed on, and she was like, fine. She was like, all right.
Yes.
She was like, I'm good. So it's true. not everybody
Right.
Mhm.
has to get. There's not a mandate
Right.
from the Most High that you be
That's
married.
right. Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
we know that in the beginning, Father put a blessing on male and female when they come together to be fruitful and multiply.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
look at that. Sometimes men and women come together and they don't know that they can't have children.
Right.
Right.
The woman doesn't know that she's unable to have children. The man
Mhm.
doesn't know that he is unable to have children. So
Mhm.
somebody would say, well, you breaking a commandment right there, but you can't. But that's a biological thing.
Right.
So then we know that there are other ways that they can adopt.
Mhm.
They could, there's things, but they have to be okay with that. And
Yeah.
some couples just make a decision, well, we couldn't have children, then
Mhm.
we just won't have children. It'll just be
Yeah.
us.
Right.
So
Mhm.
those are the things that you have to think about too. What if we get
Yeah.
married and we find out we want children? I know a woman who married a gentleman, very good friend, a sister to a very good friend of mine. And she married this gentleman, but before she married him, he was straight up with her. He said, look, I don't want kids. I don't. I've decided I don't want kids. But she just loved this man and decided, oh, I can change his mind.
Mm.
So what happens in about 3 years?
They got
Oh,
divorced.
she got pregnant.
Oh, she got. Oh.
She got pregnant. So he was like, so she put it to him, you know how we'll do. Oh, well, it was a mistake. It was a
Uh.
mistake. It wasn't no mistake. She planned it. You
Oh,
know,
wow.
because in her mind, she said, I can change his mind. You know,
Mm.
he'll
Wow.
want a baby. He'll want my baby. And so she said it was a mistake. She forgot to take her pill or whatever. And he was like, okay. So the baby came. He loving on the baby, little baby girl. And he's like, okay, all right. One, things happen. Maybe the Most High, he's like, trying to play it off. He's like, things happen. I'm not going to accuse her of doing this on purpose. Maybe
Mhm.
about 2 years later, when she saw he was good with that one, she said, oh, I'm going to try this again.
Wow.
So what she do? She got pregnant again. And he said, oh, so this is what we doing. And so he went to work one day and she got some papers in the mail.
Wow.
This stuff out. She got papers in the mail and he said, I told you. I
Wow.
told you from the beginning that I didn't want children. But you decided you were going to make me.
Wow.
Well, he was like, I was adamant about that. And her sister told me, said it really wasn't his fault. He straight up was very, very honest and said, I don't want children. And they had those divorce papers served. Moved his stuff right
Wow.
up to that house. He said, I'll
Wow.
take care of the children. I'm gonna pay child support, whatever I have to pay, because they are my children. He said, but I told you. And you decided to be deceitful.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
see, another one of those things. When looking for a husband, if the man says no, no means no.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Just leave it no.
Yep.
Then it's okay to say, well, maybe we're not compatible.
That's
Because
right.
I really want kids.
Mhm.
Yeah, buddy. Wow.
That's a big difference.
Right.
I mean, that's some sit down to dinner conversations that we need to have. Listen, do you want kids? I don't want kids. Oh,
Absolutely.
you don't want kids? well, I want kids. Okay, well, it's good. We can be friends
That's
We can
right.
be
because
friends.
you can't nobody change your mind about whether you want to have kids or not. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? That's just like saying, can a leopard change his spots? No, he cannot. Because a person know when they want to have children and if they don't,
That's right.
you know, so you can't. That's not a decision that you think you can make for a person because they
Yeah,
know what they want in the
right.
beginning. So
And
I
that's
love,
unfair.
yeah, it is.
And the man said, you're being deceitful.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Deceitful.
Yep.
So what you
Yeah,
want to do? Like every other year, every 2 or 3 years? Because how many children are you trying to have?
right.
I didn't want one, but now you
Wow.
the second one. It's like, how many more times are you going to do this? What if you want 5 or 6 kids?
Wow.
You know, that's one of those conversations when you have to be truthful.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
truthful. And if
Yeah.
you know, and some women that don't want, I worked with the gentleman who I believe he would be the best father. But he said, my wife told me when we were engaged, she said, I'm not interested in having children.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
if we have any children, you will be taking care of them because I'm not interested.
Wow.
Well, she said it's gonna be all be on me, so I ain't taking up that. I'm not taking up that one. Guess what? It's getting ready to be me and thee.
Yeah, that's
So she was very truthful.
Honest,
Straight
yeah.
out.
she kept it 100 with him. So what you gonna do?
You have to, when no is no, let no be no. And then that
Yes,
what the Bible
please.
said. Let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. No is no.
Exactly right.
Yes. And sometimes we want to make people into
Yeah.
we want them to be. We think,
Mm.
oh, well, I know he's saying that, but I can change his mind on that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
women do that a lot.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worried about that. I can make him.
Mm-hmm.
No, you can't.
That's deceitful.
You can make him want a divorce.
That's what you gonna
See, when
do.
the divorce papers-
That's what you can make him do.
and then we want everybody to feel sorry for us
Yeah.
because now we got a couple of kids, and it's like, oh, he walked out. Yeah, let's get the background story.
Right.
Let's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have to really, in looking for that husband, once we sit down and start having that filtering season of the dating time,
Yeah. Yeah.
make that we have those kind of conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, think about kids.
That's
I
why
love
you got to go through the courtship.
Yeah.
Because I can meet you. It's like what Christina said earlier. There's 4 different levels to this thing. You
Mhm.
know, we gotta in our courtship. That's when we begin to get to know each other, find out our likes, our dislikes, you know, and all these things. And then if we're compatible with those things and we're okay with those things, then we can move on to an engagement,
Yeah.
and then from the engagement to the marriage.
Yeah.
But you gotta know what it is that you want. And you
what
can't be afraid to say what it is that you want.
Right.
You know, stay 100. I tell Seventh Day all the time, unto thine own self be true. All the time. Don't lie to you.
to
I mean,
yourself.
my goodness, you got to look at this person every day in the mirror. Don't lie to yourself.
Come on. Come on. Absolutely.
Tell
It is what
yourself
it
the
is.
truth.
It
Yeah,
is what it is.
absolutely.
So you cannot, we just, but even and I see this even more in women than I see in men.
Mm-hmm.
Because, only a woman who will, like I saw on a show where a lady said, we have people walk in here and say, I'm a size 8. And
Mm-hmm.
the people look at them like, okay, let me go and see if I can find you a size 8. And it's like, it's the face. But there's nothing wrong with being
Right.
being a thick sister.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. But to
Mm-mm.
yourself be true, but to
Yeah.
thine own self be true.
Mhm.
You cannot go in there. I can walk into a place right now. Let me try on. Oh, pick up this size 2 pants. Child, really? And I look at myself and say, go in the back of the dressing room. You really thought you'd be in the bed? Okay.
Oh my goodness.
That is what we're doing. But
So
so
true.
that's the thing. To thine own self be
Yeah.
true. But if
Please.
you can't be true with yourself, but see, this is what happens, ladies. Sometimes, so many times, we're not true to ourselves.
Mhm.
So how can we possibly be true to what we think we're looking for
Mhm.
in a husband?
Mhm.
So then
Mhm.
we say all this shallow stuff.
Yeah.
Shallow. And I remember my list for my husband. I don't think I put anything on that list about him having this big time job or brand new fine car or be able to put me in a brand new home. I don't think those 3 things none of those was on the list.
Mhm.
And I think what happens, we live in such a materialistic world, and I'm saying all over because the
Mhm.
women here are just as materialistic as they are in the US, everywhere else. So it's a thing over here in Ghana where the young men can't find. So it's like flip here. It's 3 men to 1 woman here.
Wow.
Wow.
So the men are always asking. I'm telling you, I went in the post office, and the gentleman in the post office like, "Mom, could you please find me a wife? I am looking for a nice woman. I don't want these Ghanaian women because they'll have 5 boyfriends."
Wow.
So they're doing it here. 5 boyfriends because I can get this from this one, this from
Yeah.
this one, this from
Yeah.
this one, this.
Mhm.
Men are frustrated because
Mhm.
they're looking for a woman who will just want to be with them. And the young ladies are like, because I got Fred, George, Isaac, and Emmanuel. You just want to add to the bunch. I am adding you. I'm not taking away. No take away. I am adding.
Wow.
Men, they're looking for. They look for
Wow.
a woman that just wants one man.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's really a flip. When I was talking to my daughter about it, she was cracking up. She's like, they got him.
Wow.
They doing the flip to what the guys are doing over here.
That's funny.
Yeah. So but what we won't do, we won't stop and say we want to think about all this materialistic stuff.
Mhm.
So the things that really are important. Then if we get all of the materialistic stuff, you know, and don't have any of the goodness of heart.
Yeah.
Would have none of he treats me, and this is so important. Some women don't know how it is to be treated as a partner by
True.
their husband. Some husbands, especially who are in a lot of in these camps, in these Hebrew camps, are horrible with that, where they will, all the woman is to do. Some of them, they don't even allow them to learn the Torah.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
When they go to, like on the Shabbat, the men go to Shabbat and the women go to gather at another house, and they talk about cooking, having children, sewing, the
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but the point to that is, if you don't know what the Torah says, then you don't know. And I'm the only one teaching you, and I'm your husband.
Right.
How do you know what I'm telling you
Yep.
is truth or is Torah?
Yep.
How do I know? I just have to take your word, and I have to, and then they classify that as being submissive.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I know
So
a couple like that. Yeah.
we have to be careful.
Yeah. I
And
know
we
a
are
couple like that.
just looking for a
Mm-hmm.
man, a Hebrew man, or a
Mm-hmm.
man, or a what? No, let that, because they need to be more than that. They need
Mm-hmm.
to be a man after the Most High's own heart. That's
Right.
what that's
Correct.
fun. But
Correct.
you get some of these people, and the next thing you know, you're in this cultic
Mhm.
relationship where you
Mm-hmm.
heard women say, "Oh, my husband, I asked him if I could read this book, and he said, I'll let you know when I think you're ready."
Mm. Wow.
What
Wow.
in the world? I okay. So
Wow.
now I'm not an adult. Now I'm a 12-year-old.
Right.
Where you get to
Right.
censor me on reading books if I can read. And this was the a book of Kabbalah.
Mhm.
Yeah, my husband said when he thinks I'm ready to read it. I said, okay. And how old are you?
Mm.
How old are you again? I mean, it's a book. So
Mhm.
I don't know if he was thinking she might get caught up in the spirituality of
Yeah.
Kabbalah, or maybe he was seeing something that I wasn't seeing, but she seemed to be a pretty mature
Yeah.
woman. They had like 3 or 4
Mm-hmm.
kids, and in the walk together. And I just didn't understand that statement. But because my husband has not treated me like that,
Right.
so we have to think too, a husband that will, a wife is an adult. She's not another one of your children.
Right.
Right.
So there's nothing in
Exactly.
scripture that says you treat your wife like she's your 12-year-old.
Yeah.
She's a grown woman. She's an adult.
Wow.
You
Mhm.
know, so that protocol is not for that. It's not to lessen a woman down to a child's place.
Right.
Where you tell her she can't learn how to drive. She can't get
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, those are things that should be discussed. I don't want you to work. Okay, well,
Right.
we're going to go ahead and we're going to just be friends because
Yeah.
I like my job. I have a really nice career, and I like what I'm doing. So
Mhm.
I don't want to be a stay-at-home wife. And then you
Mm-hmm.
might say, "Man, I've been looking for you all my life. I don't want to go to work. I'll stay at home." Well, then you can move forward with that person.
Right.
But looking for that husband, there's some people just get into the superficial part of it.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
He got to have a certain kind of job. He got to make over 100,000 a year. He's got to be able to take me on vacations where we spend 20,000. You
Mhm.
know, or he's got to buy me a Mercedes and put me in the brand new model BMW. Or,
Okay.
women have. You know
Mhm.
that this is a requirement
Right. Right.
for
Wow.
husband,
Mm.
not realizing that the inner man is the more important,
Mhm.
not the
Wow.
superficial, not the things that he can give you. All those things are nice, but if
Right.
he's not kind, if
Right.
he treats you like like you can't think on your own, or like you're a child, or he's never home, you know,
Right.
or you know he has somebody somewhere else because of all of the red
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Those are things that we have to stop, and we have to say, okay, just what does this checklist look like?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Wow.
did we
We
finish the topics?
no, we didn't finish the topic. So we only got through 2.
Dang.
And I figured it was going to be like this.
Yeah.
So I think what we should probably do is continue
Okay.
on next week into the questions that you and your possible to be spouse need to discuss. So we talked about how do you know you're ready for marriage,
Mm-hmm.
and then what you look for in a man.
Mm-hmm.
We went pretty, pretty deep into it. And but to go into those others, because next we're going to go into health concerns, family health history,
Yeah.
stability, how important it is, what is the spiritual life looking like, and then finally the generational concern. What does your family history look like? That is so
It is.
important.
It
And
is.
if we would go ahead and go through those, y'all, we'd probably be on here 3 or 4 hours.
It's true.
That's
So
true.
I think maybe we can. What do y'all think? If you
Yeah.
have any closing, anything you want to say concerning those two, how do you know? How do you know you're ready for marriage? And what should I look for in a husband? I guess we can give them what pointers, maybe.
Yeah.
So far as looking, what should that husband look like?
Mm-hmm.
But they have to have their, because some people really do, because I try not to tell people, but some people have preferences. Some people want a tall man because they tall.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
don't,
Mm-hmm.
they
They
not,
want him to be tall.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so you have to be honest with your preference. And that goes for, like I touched on the last week. Um, some women nowadays, because like you said with your auntie, but some women will want a man because they already have it. So they just want a man to support them, come in and help them with whatever else they need help with,
Mm-hmm.
our finances. So you
Right.
got to know what type of man you want. I said that because I personally, I would rather my husband, like we did, like my husband is very assertive. So that means that he's not never emotionally abusive. That's not what I'm saying. But because
Mhm.
I'm so sensitive, you would think I want a sensitive man. And I realized I didn't. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's what I was looking at. I was like, these men is just as emotional as I am. No, I
Mm-hmm.
need a man that's stable and know how to assert himself and to control his emotions. You know what I'm saying? So he is going to tell you point blank, and you're
Yeah.
gonna know what it is and you're gonna know what it is not. And I don't have to ever guess. And he's
Right.
not emotional. And I
Right.
needed someone to provide because I was a woman with children. He didn't have to make all the money, but he had to understand that you have to be a provider and a protector. That was very important to me,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
to
Protective.
protect me, because I had been in abusive relationships and I felt like I wasn't protected. So those
Mm-hmm.
things were very, very
Right.
important to me,
Right.
along with him loving the Most High. Because see,
Mm-hmm.
when I was, in and out, and I was just having a hard time with the church overall, just trying to really understand what in the world was going on with my life and my spiritual life, like, the people I'm around. And I really changed my prayer to, like you said, I mean, uh Patricia, you hit it right on the head. You got to have a relationship. I'm not talking about you going to church. I'm not talking about you going to the synagogue, the temple,
Right.
the assembly. I'm talking about you having your own relationship. Because at that time, I was
Mhm.
not really in church. I was like,
Mhm.
I'm sick of everybody. But I
Mhm.
changed my prayer to, I need a man after your heart. I promise you. I said,
Yeah.
if he's after your heart, he's going to provide for me. He's going to
Right.
Yeah.
protect me. You know, he's going to do
Mhm.
all of those things so I don't have to make that, and I want to be really specific, but I knew how King Dawid was, and I said, well, he messed up and then he repented and he turned and he didn't do that no more. He learned his lesson and he kept going. I said, that is the type of, for real, a real man that I want.
Mhm.
I knew I didn't want a church man because my definition of a church man is somebody that show up to church all the time, but at home, he's something totally different.
Okay.
I didn't
Totally right.
know what you want. That is
Mhm.
very, very important. Not
Right.
what you see other people have, because
Yes. Right.
you may cannot take the type of husband that I have. You may,
Right.
y'all might not even be compatible, and you might
Right.
Mhm.
and be like, "Oh, I want a husband that would take care of me and my children," but he has a very strong personality, and so do I. So we can we fit well together. But if
You
you
work.
are more sensitive,
Mhm.
then you need to say that. So that's my pointer. Know what you want.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I was listening to what you were saying, and so many valid points both of you all brought out. But one thing I want to say too is that the Most High knows you, and because He knows you, He knows what your preferences are.
Yes.
Even though you may write down your checklist, like Javier said, I'm gonna checklist this thing on out, and he gonna meet every requirement I got on this checklist. But see, Abba knew what type of man you needed,
Yes.
what type
Yes.
of man he wanted you to have, because
Right.
he knows our future, he knows our present, he knows our beginning, our end, he knows everything about us. So if I'm confident in my relationship with Abba Yah, then he knows what type of man I want in my life. He knows if I want children, that man gonna want children. He knows if I don't want children, he knows that that man ain't gonna want children. We will be compatible, spiritually compatible, even though in the flesh, like you said earlier, Christina, we're two different people. Two totally, I think Javier said, we're two totally different people. You emotional, I mean, I'm emotional person being, that's my makeup, that's who I am as a female. And you are the strong-headed person who, does what they do as a man. So y'all knows exactly what we as women need. We are help meets for a reason.
Correct.
I'm not the head. He is the head. And
Yes.
you need to know if you want to surrender that position to
Yeah.
that man, because you're out of order if he's not the head of your household.
Yeah.
If y'all's not the head of him, he's not the head of your household, you're out of order. Your children don't come before your husband. That's out of order. That is not the order of Yah.
Right.
So you have to know all of these things when you writing down what you want in a mate, and how
Correct.
you want him to behave. Not behave, but how you want him to um function in the home as the head of the house, the caregiver, all of those things. You got to know that. So in you knowing that and knowing your relationship with Abba Yah, he's going to give you exactly what's in your heart, or what he feels is best for you.
Yeah.
I was never interested in no guy that was the same color I was. I always liked chocolate men. That was me.
Dude.
But y'all said no. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say you can put down what you think you want
What
and
you
what
think?
you think you need, but y'all saying no. No, that ain't what you need. That ain't gonna be good for you. No, I am making you compatible with the man that I have chosen for your life, who you will have life with. No, it's not Well, y'all want him to look like this. I want him to look like that. And I want this and I want that. And he said, okay, I'm going to give you what I know you need. Because y'all put men and women together for the sake of ministry, not because of your flesh.
That's
And
right.
that's another mistake that we as women do as well. Well, he got to be rich. He got to be making this. Well, what you bringing to the table?
Right.
Right.
What are you bringing to the table besides your body?
Correct.
Because you think that's all you going to need. It's
See?
not. It's
No.
not. Relationship with Abba is what we need. It
Yeah.
is life. It is death. It is our everything. So we need that relationship with Abba Yah to be head. Even if he's not head, we should strive for him to be the
Mhm.
head of our life,
Mhm.
and be the wife that we should be, not the wife that I want to be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If I'm strong headed, he's strong headed. I'm bullheaded, he bullheaded. I'm not gonna listen to what he's saying because I'm my own person. I'm grown. I put my clothes on the same way you put your clothes on, and you ain't gonna be doing this, and you ain't gonna be doing that. Who wants all of that? Don't nobody want no nagging wife. Come on, because we don't have it our way. So we gotta, ladies,
Right.
we got the sisters, queens, we got to really focus on our relationship with Abba Yah so he can lead us and guide us into the way of him, because he is the way, the truth, and the life. So
Yes.
That's
we got to walk in the ordered steps that Yah has ordained for our lives as women, as sisters, as mothers, as wives, as being our sister's keeper. We got to be in that position that he's placed us in, not the position that we trying to get in. Because
right.
if I'm in somebody else's lane, I'm going to wreck somewhere because
Yeah.
I'm on the wrong side of the road. So we
Yes.
Right.
gotta we gotta walk in our lane and be in the lane that he ordained for us.
That's
And with that, I digress.
Yes.
absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. That we, and those are the things. This is the real talk of when you're talking about marriage,
Mm-hmm.
because you really have to examine yourself and then examine your thoughts on what does a husband what would a husband look like.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's but it's sometimes it's difficult to try to figure that out because we don't know
Yeah.
ourselves. So many people, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
women, we don't know ourselves. And if you haven't taken time to get to know you,
That's
then
it.
that's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So you
Mm-hmm.
really don't know you, and
Mm-hmm.
and now you're just trying to and many times what happens if you do get married, then you end up just hurting each
Yeah.
other and tearing each other, to pieces
Yeah.
because you don't know what
Mm-hmm.
you because you don't know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know who he is.
Yeah.
So you gotta get those things in line in order for things to go well and to run smoothly. I think
Yeah.
it's important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we go ahead and get to the closing
Okay.
statement.
Um,
And I think we've already decided we're on our next week topic. So I put that.
Mm-hmm.
You look in the chat.
okay.
Um, that's what that is going to be. And Christina, you can take it away.
All right, child. We thank our special guest.
Yeah.
She brought it. She brought it. She brought it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And she gonna be on again, so y'all will
Yeah.
see her again. Yes. So our email again is the righteous view 01 at gmail.com. Please send your topics that you feel would be beneficial to the discussion. If you have a degree or special training in a specific area related to women's health and you would like to be a special guest, please email us your bio and we will review it and reply as soon as we can.
If you have enjoyed the podcast so far, please tune in and tell a friend. Next week, we will continue in this discussion concerning marriage, the challenges in finding possible husbands. If you put a comment in the chat that we didn't address, please email us and we will reply as soon as we can.
So we want to thank you, our viewers, our viewing audience, for tuning in. And we look forward to another edition of The Righteous View. Good evening, everyone, and have a great rest of your week.